show. Oh, yeah, there's a show.
All right, what's my motivation?
Whenever I feel that someone tells me I can't do something, I go out and accomplish it.
Pass is stolen by Pinnock. Pinnock flushes it down with two hands. Inside man, the Bontu double team comes. Nola pass to Pinnock, who puts in the alley-oop.
Stuff like that motivates me.
We used to go out there and have fun. We both still love it.
I shoot for the moon.
I told him just be ready. This time's gonna come.
Elliott driving all the way home. Dishes to Bontu. He slams it home with authority.
This is Danilo Pinnock, former George Washington Colonial.
This is Cosmo Zabasa from the Dallas Mavericks.
You're listening to WRGW.
I don't know where to start. Look, man, I'm about to bust you if you don't give us some information.
You're listening to WRGW.
Know what I'm talking about?
GWRadio.com.
You right, because I don't even understand what you just said to me right then. Oh, guess who this is?
Campus Cable Channel 22.
You pitiful, man. When you gonna have some fun? Speak English, what do you say? You're not moving. I'm sick of you. Got me running around Hong Kong butt naked. All we gotta do now is wait.
Washington, D.C.
Okay. Come on with you. You don't jump in front of a black man in a buffet line. Calm down.
The future of college radio today.
Living large in one of these penthouse suites. Told you to work out. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We're coming. The new generation of radio.
He could bring down the whole East Coast.
Online and in your ears.
And was. He's good at it.
24 hours a day.
Sort of like 7-Eleven. We're not always doing business, but we're always open.
You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later.
Listen, kid. I hope you understand who you're dealing with here.
For WRGW.
This guy is no slouch.
Coming to you straight from Washington, D.C.
When I was a boy, your papa used to speak of him like he was a ghost.
Now you will receive us.
And online 24/7 at gwradio.com.
This is like Lone Ranger heavy, man. Are you sure? Oh, baby. You guys should be in every major city.
In the beginning, there was radio. And then came the advent of the internet. Until one day, innovative college students came up with WRGW, GWRadio.com. And it was good. Damn good. So good that they called it Fox.
My name is Robert Neville. I'm a survivor living in New York City. If you are out there, if anyone is out there, I can provide food, I can provide shelter, I can provide security. If there's anybody out there, anybody, you are not alone.
Good evening, folks. I'm your host, Henry Scriven-Young, and welcome back to Uptime. Pure gaming, tunes and news, no cheat codes required, here on WRGW District Radio. I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in to the show last Friday, and a special thank you to everyone who has tuned in for tonight's show. For those of you who don't know, Uptime is a music show where I play the soundtracks from video games. I'll also be throwing in some news and other fun bits, so sit back and relax as we jump in to tonight's show. Tonight's game is a special one that's known for revolutionizing the open-world shooter style of games that we see today. It is a remake, and there was a movie released in 2008 that was inspired by the game and has the same name. So it fits perfectly with Uptime's themes for the semester. Tonight's game is Far Cry Classic, the remake of the original Far Cry. This is a unique and fun game which features elements such as turning off alarms and stealing vehicles that, while today seem elementary for a video game, were groundbreaking advances at the time. This is an exciting game with a great soundtrack, so let's dive in. For those unfamiliar with tonight's game, here's a quick rundown. Far Cry Classic is a 2014 first-person shooter game developed by Crytek and published by Ubisoft. It is a re-release of the first installment in the Far Cry franchise. Set on a mysterious tropical archipelago, the game follows Jack Carver, a former American Special Operations Forces operative, as he searches for journalist Valerie Constantine, who accompanied him to the island but went missing after their boat was destroyed by mercenaries. As Jack explores the islands, he begins to discover the horrific genetic experiments being conducted on the local wildlife and must confront the mad scientist behind them. Far Cry Classic is a standard first-person shooter set in an open-ended environment, an unidentified archipelago in the South Pacific. The tropical rainforest provides cover and concealment of which both the player and enemies can take advantage. Enemies react dynamically to the player's tactics and actions. See, enemies will work together to outmaneuver, outflank, surround, and provide suppressive fire, providing them a tactical advantage over the player, who, in turn, is able to spot and mark enemies on their minimap through use of binoculars, which also grant the player the ability to listen to enemy conversations from afar. Far Cry was originally released for Microsoft Windows in March of 2004, and the game was a commercial success, selling over 730,000 units within 4 months of release and over 2.5 million units in its lifetime. The original version of Far Cry, updated with HD graphics, was re-released under the title Far Cry Classic, with the updated HD graphics, for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2014. With all of that out of the way, let's get back to the music. And welcome back to exclamation point uptime. So that was basically the beginning of Far Cry. So the opening of the show was menu 1. This was menu 2, approach ship, Atmo ship, beginning 1, 2, and 3, and Bell drone. So starting off with menu, I really like the tension in the menu screen. And the first menu screen, which is obviously much longer, kind of is able to flesh out what it's trying to say a little more. But the tension here is great, right? Something's going to happen. We can tell from the music. We know something is going to happen. There are crunchy chords. There are instruments. There are notes, right? There are things that are telling us, hey, this is something interesting. And then it just kind of fades out. What is it? What is it going to be? It's unclear. We do not know. Then we get to Approach Ship, which is a great song that, even though it's only 50 seconds, really uses dynamics well, right? You've got that slow kind of build. You're going from pianissimo or maybe piano all the way up to fortissimo or maybe even as my old choir director used to say, a fortissimo. And so maybe you're getting up to even that levels of volume. But the point is that it's using dynamics really well and really expertly, even in such a short amount of time as 50 seconds. There are a couple of other interesting songs in this selection, so I'm going to go out of order here. But Atmo Ship and Bell Drone are interesting. I have mixed feelings and mixed opinions. I think the Bell Drone is neat. I just think having the bell effect is kind of cool. And I like that the use of instruments is pretty diverse. It's just that, like, the weird, like, Atmo, like, whoa kind of thing is just kind of bizarre. And it's interesting. And so it definitely speaks to the extent to which a lot is being put into this. There's a lot of instruments, there's a lot of whatever, but that not all of it is going to land. It's just not all going to land. And then finally wrapping up with beginning 1, 2, and 3. Really, I like the tension. I think this does a good job of really setting the stage, quite literally, but also figuratively as well. I wish that they were all stuffed together because they have kind of the same vibe where they start quiet, they get loud, and then they fade away. Or, you know, they do a little something in the middle, but not too much. And I think stringing those together, instead of having 3 40-second clips, you could have one song that is, 2 almost 3 minutes would be much better, in my opinion. Before we move on to our next section of music, I'd like to talk about our sponsor for today's episode of Exclamation Point Uptime. This episode of Exclamation Point Uptime is sponsored by GW Eco Reps. Eco Reps are sustainability leaders who promote a culture of sustainability within the GW residence halls and community. Eco Reps informs and engages students in activities that encourage a sustainable lifestyle. Eco Reps help to educate students on sustainability topics and build connections with the sustainability community at GW. If you have questions or would like to be involved, you can join via Engage or contact the official email at ecoreps@gwu.edu. That's ecoreps@gwu.edu. Or you can head to their Engage page where they have an interest form that you can download and fill out. Would you like to sponsor Exclamation Point Uptime? Well, each week I will shout out, as I just did, a GW student organization. You can sponsor Exclamation Point Uptime by submitting the sponsorship form found on the Exclamation Point Uptime website at sites.google.com/view/uptime-WRGW. Or you can head to my Instagram account where I have that website linked throughout my profile. And a reminder that this is not financially compensated and is more of a shout out type of thing to promote student organizations here at GW. Additionally, the Exclamation Point Uptime website has been updated since our last show, so I encourage all of you to take a look and explore the website while we take a quick break.
WRGW. That's called rock and roll, baby. WRGW, it lives. Rock and roll lives. Rock and roll lives. lives right here in this room.
Lives on WRGW.
Jerry, are you listening to WRGW?
District Radio?
Of course, District Radio.
You better believe. What are you talking about? Of course I'm listening to WRGW District Radio.
Oh, you're not going to want to touch that dial.
What's poppin', y'all? It's Alexis with an E. Make sure you all tune into my show Signs Wednesday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m. on WRGW. And make sure to subscribe to the Signs podcast on iTunes.
Hi, this is Keith from Atlas Genius, and you're listening to WRGW.
Hi, this is Houses, and you're listening to WRGW.
Hey, this is Adam from Jamaican Queens, and you're listening to WRGW.
Hey guys, this is Kaneen from the Lone Bellow, and you're listening to WRGW District Radio.
We're Future Islands, and you're listening to
WRGW.
You are listening to WRGW District Radio on gwradio.com.
And welcome back to Exclamation Point Uptime here on WRGW District Radio. I'm your host, Henry Scriven-Young, and that was Boat Fight, Boat Sneaking Fort, Boomer Jungle, Car Fight, Carrier Alert, and Carrier Backup. Starting off with Boat Fight, this is a really cool use of drums and something that I actually find to be really interesting and uniquely used throughout the Far Cry games, which is drums and just like percussion in general. In this one, the drums kind of indicate conflict, right? And there's like lulls in the middle where you're walking around. You're like, oh, where's the next enemy? Boom, there's the enemy. Drums, 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 drums. All right, walking around. Really good. Boat Sneaking Fort. Nice, cool, suspenseful ending. It does kind of what has been done. Same with Boomer Jungle. They're good, but they're nothing really to write home about. Car Fight is what I wish Carrier Backup... It was like Car Fight is what Carrier Backup aspires to be. Car Fight is really exhilarating, and I think in particular the use of percussion here and kind of like the beating of the sticks in the background to imitate gunfire is really, really clever and something that we don't get often enough in video game soundtracks anymore. We don't get music that means something but also sounds good. I think you can have music that means something and music that sounds good, but this is intentional in a way that modern music is not, right? It can, it's very, it invokes this or that or the other thing, but this, for how long ago it was to be doing this, was way ahead of its time, just light years ahead of its time. And while other games do that today, the use of, sticks in the background to imitate gunfire is the part of what makes the Far Cry soundtrack so good and what has helped it stand the test of time. Moving over to Carrier Alert. This is it's suspenseful. It really just expands on what the Far Cry music is already doing really well. It gives us some weird overtones and instruments while making my heart race a little bit. But it doesn't do anything other than that. I'm really waiting for something else, something dramatic, something thrilling, whatever, just not more of what we're already hearing. I'm waiting for another car fight, right? And Carrier Backup's fine. It's car fight, but worse. But I think if the songs in this batch were replaced by car fight but better or car fight but a little worse, this batch of songs would be my favorite because car fight does such a good job and Carrier Alert does such a good job that if they were in the opposite order, I think they would have an incredible impact. And they do. They're really good. They're really impactful and they sound great, but there's a level of it's good, it could be great, right? A quick note here. To put it bluntly, history has been unkind to Far Cry Classic. When reviewing this game, folks alternate between a nostalgia trip and extreme rage before ultimately landing somewhere in the middle. When Far Cry Classic released, it had some porting issues, crashes, bugs, and AI problems, but the game was still able to remind folks of a simpler time when innovation, not perfection, was the name of the game. The prevailing wisdom here, no matter where you look or who you ask, is that if you enjoyed the original game, you will enjoy this game. It's as good an entrant into the series as any, and the updated graphics are a nice bonus. Furthermore, the game is only $9.99, which is an absolute steal. So if you want to travel back in time a decade, consider spending $10 to experience Far Cry Classic. If not, still listen to the soundtrack, because it is awesome. With that being said, let's move on to some more music. All right, welcome back. That was Carrier Combat and Carrier Near Suspense. Starting off with Carrier Combat, the Far Cry music misses the mark on what combat music is generally known for and understood as today. Far Cry music is missing, right? It's missing the faster tempo, the strong dynamics, and the staccato ornamentation that belongs to what is combat music. Combat music should get your heart racing in a way that keeps it racing. It's more accurate to say that this song is combat light. It's called Carrier Combat, right? So maybe Carrier Combat Light, perhaps. Or say it's stealth combat, maybe. But saying it's combat just doesn't translate. The other songs that we've heard here on Uptime that are combat, right? I think back to Prince of Persia. Those combat songs are so dynamic. They are so interesting. Despite the fact that most of all they're doing is being loud, using a couple of instruments, and going pretty fast. That's all they're doing. But there is an art, and there is a modern, today, equivalently well-known, hey, this is combat music. This right here in Far Cry is not. Saying it's combat it just really doesn't work. See, the thing about Far Cry is the marks that this game hits are really clear. It does things like suspense and tension really well, incredibly well. But the marks it misses, like with this like combat, are way off topic, incredibly off target in a way that makes you go, I like the music. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But I don't agree with the assessment of this is this kind of music. It's good, objectively. Well, objectively in air quotes. I think it's good. I hope you do too. But it's not combat music. Moving over to Carrier Near Suspension. This is good, but I would argue that we are beyond near suspense. Carrier Near Suspense. I would argue that we're beyond near suspense, right? This is suspenseful, but not in a good way. This is really one of those songs that should have been reworked, or should have been shorter, or should have been a loop, right? Having like 3.5 minutes of a song that is basically just very quiet playing of a suspenseful chorus basically is fine, and it does well, but it's just not interesting for the entire 3.5 minutes. It's good for the first minute, but after that, you're ready to move on. It's just not something that is interesting throughout, and something that is near suspense should be. You should be waiting for that moment where the suspense goes from being suspenseful to being impactful, right? And that impact is clear in a combat scene, perhaps, but definitely not done by the music of Carrier Combat. So either way, good pieces of music. But like I said, Far Cry misses some marks and hits some marks, and the marks it hits really well. And the marks it misses, it goes way off target. Moving over to news. This past week had a lot of news, but not a lot of video game news. Regardless, there's still a few stories to cover, so we're going to jump right in. Our first story comes from IGN. November is a bit of a slower month for video game releases, but there are still a lot of exciting games coming out this month, such as Albatross for the PS5, Xbox, and PC, Farmagia, PS5, Switch, PC, Last Spartan, Glory Over Madness, PC, Crossed Wires, PC, Nazar, PC, Tectonica for the PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC, Metal Slug Tactics, PS5, Xbox, Switch, PC, Planet Coaster 2, keep an eye out for that one. Planet Coaster 1 is great music, and I'm hoping to get my hands on the Planet Coaster 2 soundtrack. PS5, Xbox, and PC. Slavic Punk Old Timer, PS5, Xbox. TMNT Splintered Fate, PC. Empire of Ants, PS5, Xbox, PC. Mario and Luigi Brothership, Switch. Keep an eye on that one too. Maximum Football, PC. Metro Awakening VR, PSVR 2, Steam VR, and MetaQuest. River City Saga, Three Kingdoms, Next. PS4, Switch, and PC. Takio no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival, PS5, Xbox, and PC. Slitherhead, PS5, Xbox, and PC. Anton Blast, releasing on November 12th for the Switch. Farming Simulator 25, releasing on November 12th for PS5, Xbox, and PC. The Rise of the Golden Idol, releasing November 12th, PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC. Tetris Forever, releasing November 12th for the PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC. Behemoth, releasing November 14th for the PSVR 2 and MetaQuest. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, November 14th, PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC. Lego Horizon Adventures, releasing on the 14th for the PS5, Switch, and PC. Miniatures, November 14th, Switch, PC, and iOS. Funko Fusion. Man, try saying that 3 times fast. November 15th, PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, November 19th, Xbox and PC. My Sims Cozy Bundle, November 19th for the Switch. Stray, November 19th for the Switch, which is big. By the way, Stray, awesome game. I'm looking into the soundtrack for that one as well, just to see if they do anything different with it on the Switch. Genshin Impact, November 20th for the Xbox. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, November 20th for Xbox and PC. Dungeons of Dreadrock 2, The Dead King's Secret, November 21st for PC. Star Wars Outlaws, November 21st on Steam. On Your Tail, November 21st, Switch and PC. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Physical, November 22nd, PS5 and Switch, which I'm very excited about, by the way. That's another one I'm excited about that's coming up. Stalker, but it's an acronym. Legends of the Zone Trilogy, November 24th, Switch. And Towers of Agazba, Towers of Agazba, November 24th, PS5 and PC. So lots of interesting games that are coming out, ones that I'll certainly be taking a look at, and likely not this semester just due to the theme and the games I'm trying to bring for you, but definitely ones that will appear in future episodes. Like Stray has a beautiful soundtrack, so look forward to some of those games make it into future episodes of Uptime. And if you want one game really badly and you really, really want Uptime to do it, go ahead and submit that game through the Uptime website form. Moving on to our second story from Auto Evolution. GTA 5 on new-gen consoles has mostly been left for modders to tinker with. Until now. 2025 will bring those sweet console features to the old mouse and keyboard platform. The improved texture quality is the first step in making the game look nice and shiny. Even more exciting is news of added ray tracing features, which track things like shadows and reflections. This will look especially great on vehicles, with metallic paint and tinted windows, for example. The game should also have faster loading times, a higher population and traffic density, increased vegetation, better anti-aliasing, motion blur, particle effects from blowing things up, and other similar important features. This marks one additional time GTA 5's graphics have been updated. It's been updated graphically more times than one can count since its original September 2013 release. And that's it for the news this week. As we move into the last 10 minutes of the show, I'd like to talk about recordings. If you would like to listen to Uptime's most recent episode, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, you can find the recording on my YouTube channel and the Uptime website. Speaking of the website, be sure to fill out the special guest form, sponsorship form, and the show idea submission form, which I mentioned a little earlier. This episode of Uptime is sponsored by GW Eco Reps. Eco Reps are sustainability leaders who promote a culture of sustainability within the GW residence halls and community. EcoReps informs and engages students in activities that encourage a sustainable lifestyle. EcoReps help to educate students on sustainability topics and build connections with the sustainability community at GW. If you have questions or would like to be involved, you can join via Engage or contact the official email at ecoreps@gwu.edu, or you can fill out the interest form, which is found on their Engage page. Would you like to submit your student org for sponsorship? Well, check out the !Uptime website. The form to submit is at sites.google.com/view/uptime-WRGW. I'd like to thank you all for listening in to tonight's episode of !Uptime on WRGW District Radio. I'm your host, Henry Scriven-Young, and I will see everyone next week for Pure Gaming Tunes and News. No cheat codes required.
presents. You're listening to WRGW.
Oh, great. Now you tell me.
Where there's always lots of fun.
Are you kidding?
And great music.
Lies and slander.
Tune in at gwradio.com.
Would you kindly shut your noise hole?
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
The dead rising from the grave.
Real wrath of God type stuff.
WRGW, gwradio.com, Washington.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.